With ED version 4.5.4, there's a few changes that went into the travel hazard forecast to try to alleviate some of the error messages that we used to receive when the monthly quota was exceeded. So, typically you right-click on the map and set a start and end point. And in this case, I already put some data in here before I started this presentation. And I set a trip for leaving November 20th at 6 a.m. from West Virginia going to Minnesota. Now, say I want to delay my trip maybe till noon, just because of just seeing what's going out there. What I'm going to do is click on this Allow Multiple Routes, and I'm also going to add an extra point here in Illinois, because maybe I want to go through Central Illinois instead to avoid Chicago. So when I run that by leaving a little bit later, you can see that second trip there, I end up running into snow. So maybe I should start with that first trip where I leave a little earlier in the morning. The little dialog here has been cleaned up for the tooltip where your watches, warnings, and advisories have been moved to the top and highlighted in red if they are existing, and also whatever elements that may be hazardous to your travels are also highlighted with an icon, and down below in the table of elements they also kind of stand out with the snow, ice, and the wind directions have changed from the alpha numeric characters to a little icon as well. So the other neat thing is you can quickly say choose this waypoint here and say maybe I'll spend the night in the middle of Illinois. So if I do that and click on this, it adds a little 18-hour overnight stay there. I'm going to get rid of this Allow Multiple Routes so it kind of clears out the map here. And if I travel that same route again by spending the night, you can see that I might only run into a little bit of inconvenience here in Central Illinois where wind speeds might be an issue. You can see where the time there would be arriving is at 1:44 compared to the previous point on my route where that would be about 6:42 p.m. So you can see you're getting that 18-hour rest period in there before you continue on your journey. So this works fine and dandy if our routing service is not exceeded its monthly quota. And I get I use the MapQuest API to get the routing to quickly draw these points. But if it does exceed it, that doesn't work. So I had to come up with a workaround. And the way that you do that is use this little button right here, which allows you to draw your own route. This will automatically appear if the service has already exceeded its monthly quota. But if it hasn't, you can pull up this same widget here, and basically you change your date and time of when you depart. So originally I was doing 6 a.m. trip from West Virginia over here. You can see how the arrow has this little blue dot that follows you around. That's because down here in the left-hand corner, the mouse click control switched from the public rain forecast to the travel hazard forecast. So what that does, it allows you to press the shift key and essentially hold that down while clicking and dragging, and you can draw the same route. And when you let go, be sure to let go of the mouse before you let go of the shift. And the reason I say that is because if you don't do that and you leave like this, it leaves this hanging point here. And you can easily double click someplace to end it, but it's just kind of annoying. So this one automatically checks to allow multiple routes. So let's just change our time here and go to a little bit later in the day. And if I go through that area, later on in the day, you can see that, hey, the snow's moved a little bit more to the north, and maybe I want to leave the day after. You can do that for the 20, and I'm going to uncheck that just so you can see real quick. And you'll see that, oh, yep, now the storm's moving down to the south. So maybe it would be advantageous to wake up early on the Friday morning, maybe 5 a.m., and take a route that goes like this. And I should avoid most of the winter weather stuff. Oh, yep, I forgot to set my day back to the Friday. So if I do that, you can see most of the route turns green, and I might run into a little snow late in my trip. So again, the way that you do that is you hold down the shift key, and then the directions are all up here. You click and hold, so you're holding the shift key while you're clicking and dragging, and that, you can basically go anywhere you want to, and that will make your route. And some of the more options here allows you to set your speed. I kind of have some presets for driving, hiking, biking, or sailing. And you can save your routes just the same as always. And say you want a little more sample density along that route, you can increase your sample density here. If you do it to the maximum, it'll sample along that route at a really fine resolution, so you can get a little more detail around your route. It does take a little longer, so that's kind of the trade-off there. Alternately, you can decrease the density, and it'll sample less along the route. However, the way that this works is there's an assumption being made, is every time between this dot and this dot, it assumes that it takes 1 hour, and by default it should do it appropriately, but when you start messing with the sample density, it changes the way that those things are sampled. So as you can see, you arrive here at 7:36 a.m. and you arrive here at 1:23 p.m., but it is only checking this along this route for 1 hour forecast from 7 a.m. to 8. So I would really caution using any of the lower values of forecast density. If you keep it high and your points are spaced approximately an hour apart like these guys are, you're much likely to get the forecast that you're looking for. So that's just my one word of caution with that. And as always, there also is the Marine Travel Hazard tool, which you can come up and you can say if you want to travel along the Great Lakes. It works exactly the same way as the other one, and you can get more of a marine tailored forecast compared to the kind of typical driving forecast that you're looking for, and that tells you what's going on in the marine world. And the other thing is, a lot of people were requesting to be able to share the drawn forecast by URL. So you can do that, but as you can see right here, it says my URL is too long and this link will not be shared, and it says try simplifying the route instead. So what you can do, instead of holding the shift key and dragging like I normally did, you can either draw it really fast, and that adds less points along the route, and that will give you, if you can try that for the save share. Oh, still too long. Actually, it might not have been finished yet. Hold on, let's try. Yep, still too long. The other thing you can do is just click on a point every couple hours like this, and that significantly decreases the number of points that are along that route, and essentially gives you the same forecast. And if you share that one, it says it may be too long, but any browser outside of Internet Explorer should handle the request just fine. So if I do come back here, it should plot that same route, and that works for both the marine or the land traveling tools. So as you can see, there it is. And the way that it plots is it always departs on kind of the current time, so I don't save any of the depart on dates. So if you chose a different date, it won't do that, mainly because that easily can go stale throughout time. So keep that in mind. I think that's all I want to cover as far as these tools. And if you want the whole program to go back to its normal functionality when you click the map, you can come back over here and just change this back to public marine forecast. And then when you click the map, you typically get your forecast or your text forecast that you would expect. And I think that's it. There's just one other button. You can now use your current location if you want to. So it can come in there and automatically assign that location for you. And so that's all we have. Thanks for listening.